Hey, it's Soul, giving you guys the World of Warcraft. In our second podcast, we're going to be talking about guilds, and more specifically, casual guilds such as ours. We often hear from top-end guilds such as Method and the kind of struggles that they deal with being a world-first guild. By contrast, though, I wanted to give a perspective that's a little bit more familiar to the majority of players, but something that can hopefully give a kind of fresh and unique perspective too. In this recording, I have Senjien, Shaddux, and Juikuen joining us. We'll talk about things that have and haven't worked in the guild, how it compares to some of the experiences that we had before, and of course a little bit of randomness here and there. Just as before, I'm going to identify early on who's speaking, and there's a little bit more of a visual representation, but this is still a podcast format. Go ahead and switch Alt-Tab to another screen and do your thing. And with all that said, here we go. Are we all here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me take a wee-wee.
This
Really?
guy.
Really?
I was testing out Elemental.
Alright, so this is the second podcast, and today I'm joined by some familiar sound voices. So I guess, like, if the three of you could one at a time, state your name, your role, and I guess how long you've been in the guild. We'll at least start off with that.
Alright, this is Shaddux. I'm the co-tank, or off-tank, as I like to say. Been in the guild for, I think, like a year and a half now, roughly about whenever HFC started to become irrelevant.
When it started.
That was it.
Yeah. This is Senjien again, or Fellboners. I joined the guild probably around July or May of last year because of Shaddux, and I primarily DPS.
I'm Juikuen. Right now I play Hong Kong Jui. I joined the guild in BC like 7 years ago, and I usually heal, but due to my availability I've switched to DPS.
Because you're such a darling face. So, I guess the topic that Chad suggested was on the guild, and kind of what it's like running the guild, some of the challenges that we face. Oh, damn it, I got freaking WoW sounds running. But yeah, it's about the challenges that our guild happens to face as a kind of mid-level, casual-ish kind of guild. So, I didn't really come up with a skeleton, Chad, so if there are things that you want to just start going on, I'll give you the floor first, and then we'll just kind of let it flow from there.
Well, I guess first I kind of want to talk about like the structure of the guild, the way we're set up, is something I think a lot of people take for granted. So, myself, I've been playing since vanilla. As a vanilla player, I have to say that I've been playing since vanilla. But I've pugged the majority of my entire WoW playing time. I've been in a few guilds. A lot of it's to do with, work schedules and finding the right group and things like that. So I've spent the majority of time tanking in pugs for about 10 years. So when I came to...
That explains why you're so bad.
I know, right? That's why I consider myself only an off-tank and never a main tank. So I really think that a lot of people may take guilds for granted and what they can actually accomplish for you. And I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, when the whole thing separated, where there's like the guild achievements and you could do all those like little extra benefits for being in a guild, and a lot of people like have a guild with like 10 people, and I think we've kind of fell away from the days of the BC vanilla guilds of 200 players, like mass groups of people, and I don't know if it ever really came back to that. It kind of shattered into this, everybody has small guilds, and so I think there's a lot of guilds out there who are struggling to really get together to put the best foot forward to really get content accomplished in timely manner, especially with the way the raid schedules are coming out now. And I think it's interesting now the way they said that they're going to drop Nighthold on the 17th of January, and we're one boss away from clearing all the heroic content of this portion of the tier. But I still feel like as ahead as we are of most of the schedules, I still feel like we're behind. And so I want to know, like, is there a guild out there having this struggle and kind of getting other people's opinions, if they feel like, is this the state of guilds as they are, or is there something that we can kind of do to not just make our guild better, but is there something that Blizzard can do to really push the guild mentality forward again? I think this game has really been put in a place where it's a solo game, and if you want to play with other people, you can, but you can join LFR and not talk to anyone, and I think that kind of makes me sad. And
so my perspective is off because I've run this guild the entire time. I haven't left. I haven't gone anywhere. You know, POW started early BC, and it didn't start getting raid centric until kind of towards the later part of BC when I think it was when Black Temple was just about to come out, and then we started to do raiding, and we just did Karazhan like the entire time. The entire rest of BC we're just stuck in Karazhan because we were stuck as a 10-man guild. Yeah, Juikuen, though. And so my perspective is like, I know nothing about like this whole, BC was great. It was, we had 200 people online at a time. Like what you were saying. Like I have no perspective of that. That doesn't, I don't understand at all. And
I think that died before BC, because back when Vanilla was out, we didn't know anything. Everybody was just in the dark, so we would get a bunch of people all together and bang our heads into crap until we figured it out.
Did you raid in BC, Julie?
I did a little bit.
I'm sorry, in Vanilla.
Yeah, I knew what you meant, but yeah, I did a little bit, and to me, it wasn't fun because it was basically what POW does now. We just bang our heads into crap until it dies.
Yeah, the limited time that I had raiding in Vanilla, like I played as a hunter and I was just a cog. Like I felt so meaningless in there in the 40-man raid, and there's a bunch of people that would like AFK while the main group they were like doing the trash pulls and things like that. And this was late Vanilla, so people kind of had an idea of what to do. It wasn't just like 2 hours of trash. It was more like 1 hour of trash. This is in like Molten Core, and it was okay until the raid lead ninja the whatever items from the Magmadar, I think, like ninja all that shit, and then just left, and then the group broke, and that was it. That was my raiding experience in Vanilla, and it's not like how it is now, where if like let's say wipes happen and then the group breaks, it's like, oh, that sucks, let me just join another group. But back in Vanilla, it was like way more devastating. Like that was it. There goes your day, because you're not going to be able to get another group going, at least on the servers that I was trying shit out in.
Yeah, Anderhall was always a kind of a baby server. That's actually why I ended up on Anderhall, because it had so low pop. The people I went with figured it'd be easy to get Gladiator.
So what do you think about what Chad was saying with how I guess like smaller guilds just don't seem to be very well supported?
I can kind of jump in on this part, if you don't mind.
Holler.
Okay. Before I was in this guild, I was on the Alliance side of things on the Senjien server, and it was really
God.
It's actually my friend's guild. He invited me when I first started playing, and at first it was literally just him and me in the guild, and little by little we kind of got a few people to join in, and we finally had enough. This was during Kata. I started playing back during Wrath of the Lich King, and him and I had to literally pug into ICC just in order to get some raiding experience under my belt. And that's how small the guild was. It was just the two of us. A couple of people were doing PvP, but nobody ever really wanted to kind of progress and try to raid or get together and start anything like that. I always felt like there wasn't anybody who initiated that kind of gameplay, and me just starting up, I had no idea. I mean, I was a clicker. I didn't know my right from my left, really, and I feel like that is something that can hurt smaller guilds. It's just there's a lot of the times where people just aren't stepping up to the plate to kind of help organize something and put it together. I think there's that fear of failure.
So yeah, as GM, like this whole time, one thing that has tried and failed to really come to fruition is like you guys know this, or especially Dewey, this guild has been run by me like the whole time, like pretty much the whole time. When we once we started doing like organized stuff, like people would say, oh, I'm Saul's the dictator, he's El Presidente, or something like that, because I have no officers. The closest thing that I have are some of you guys, or breezies, the ones that hang around long enough for me to have some semblance of trust in and faith in that you guys aren't going to jack the bank or anything like that. But
we had officers for like a month.
Yeah, like
BC.
Yeah, like it just doesn't work out because like you immediately get like conflicts of interest. You get people that are like, a lot of people tend to have kind of a me first attitude when it comes to being an officer. They get a power trip, things like that, and I'm kind of the same way, which is probably part of the reason why we don't have officers. I'm sure that there's something that I'm doing or some air that I'm giving off that's preventing that from happening. But I think I think what Senjien was saying is that there aren't enough people that are stepping it up, and I think that's true. Like there seems to be a lack of willing, not even so much capable, but there's a lack of willing leaders that are willing to that are willing to come up and start running their own guild and start doing start taking things into their own hands. And part of it is because it's so convenient to just pug. It's so convenient to just get your own quick group together and not try to establish some of the longer term relationships that we establish here in POW. Like not everyone can do that, and that's okay. But it just seems like there's a big lack of it, and Blizzard isn't giving us the tools to for players to find to find players, or recruit players, or to find guilds that they might like.
Yeah, I think that comes with a trade-off too. In my experience, you have two types of guilds. You have a guild like POW, who we don't really accomplish a whole lot, but we all stay together. And then you have guilds that accomplish stuff, but they fizzle out really quick. Like Corey and Kata's guild, for example. They have people leave all the time, but they're like 4 out of 7 mythic.
I think a lot of it, a huge part of it, in fact, is just based on what's the goal of the guild. And for me, the goal is to not fall apart. That's the big thing. As long as I have a few key components in place, just as usual, we get the attrition too. We have people come and go, and so on and so forth. But and again, I don't have the perspective on this. People come back. People come back for a little while. They come visit. Like Carl comes to visit. Freaking Loxy was whispering me about coming back today and over the weekend, which is kind of frightening. But
too drunk to be dunk.
It's that kind of stuff. People come back, and between folks in POW, like I call it family. I call we have relationships, and not everyone does that. But again, it just goes down to it really comes down to what kind of goals are being set by the guild. I wanna do some progression, yeah. But I don't want to aspire so hard that I'm going to be burning people out, or it's coming to a point where, like, let's say, like now, like if we wanted to push Mythic Emerald Nightmare, I'm pretty sure, and this conversation comes up pretty much every tier, every expansion. If we wanted to step up and become a Mythic guild, we're going to have to cut a lot of people. A lot of people just aren't going to be capable of doing it. A lot of people just don't have the schedule. They're not reliable enough, and things like that. And it sucks because it already sucks to tell you, Joey, hey, you want to raid? Yeah, just go DPS, because I don't want to be disappointed when when you can't show up as a healer and I need you. And it sucks because you're good. You're fairly good.
Well, I'm done here. I'll see you later.
But
that's all I wanted.
But those are the things that makes it really hard to balance, because the guild's goals are can easily be very different from what our total capability is. Like,
I think that's what makes POW special, because POW rides that line. We're a guild that's very casual, but we have a lot of talent in the guild. So we could easily go either way.
It's
Yeah,
just
I
a matter
agree.
of if I push, and that's both the strength, but that's a double-edged sword. It's both a strength and a weakness of me as a guild leader. I'm not going to push people, but we're only able to get so far based on the handicaps that we've set for ourselves.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's just the kind of the way we said it. Where if we want to maintain a casual, group atmosphere. I mean, I consider myself to be like, a raider with a mythic mentality, but a heroic set of skills. Like, I mean, I know my limitations, and that's just the mythic world of having to raid 3 days a week and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know if even I'm ready for that. Even though I love watching YouTube videos on WoW strats and whatever. Like, I'll talk about WoW all day, but when it comes down to brass tacks, like, am I ready to kind of put in that kind of work? And I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I love it, but it's one of the things people don't think about. Of, oh, look at those mythic raiders clearing that stuff. They get that gear and doing carry runs and all that. But a ton of work goes into that. I mean, you can listen to like one Final Boss podcast and like listen to those guys talking about having to run Mythic Plus runs, 7 hours a day, if not more, trying to push gear because they got to get the content, and it's so much more work than like, all right, well, we did heroic, let's do mythic. It's so much more than that, and I think we're in a good place. I think we are always ahead of the curve and crushing it that way, and it's more than how many? What's the percentage? Like what, 90% of people getting ahead of the curve that didn't pay for it? I don't know what the percentages are, but I mean, it's still in a good spot, and it's good to say that.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, and I think as coming from from a different angle at that, I have a lot of my mentalities, as you know, are a lot like you, Shad. But I think one of the things that drives me as a DPS are people like Jewy and Breezy and Moof, who I see how they perform, and it just makes me want to go and find out what it is I'm doing wrong or what I can do to get better to kind of match them at DPS. And it's just that drive. And I haven't, to be honest, I haven't had that drive until I joined this guild, because I didn't have anybody to like chat with and joke around with and like focus like on a set goal. To like, all right, today I'm going to work hard and I'm going to beat this guy the next time I'm in the Emerald Nightmare or in TOV to try and out DPS them. What can I do better and what can I do to improve, so that way, and it's that friendly rivalry and competition within the guild that you don't get in the pug world. And I am glad to finally kind of have that in game for myself.
Well, you can get that in the pug world if you're Kata, where you pot and flask an LFR.
Yeah, the LFR hero, right? There's always those one or two people who carry the other 15 people who are AFKing away.
And that's how it is everywhere, dude. Like,
Yeah.
we see tonight that there are people that they're not even like lazy. They're just not as strong of a player as some others are. Like, as much as Neb's attitude may piss me off, like he'll waltz in and he'll almost top meters. He didn't tonight when it counted, but there are those kinds of performers that I sometimes have to deal with. And
Dude, I was like,
don't.
I'm never leveling cooking until I saw how easy it was, and I was like, oh god. There's just no excuse. You can't even like excuse yourself from not having leveled cooking. It's so easy to level now.
How are we talking about cooking? Now. What?
I think he's talking about
because it's important.
The effort, like towards the raid effort.
I see. Yeah, I mean, some people do that. Like, I know, like when you want to talk about like alts, like myself and Senjien here. I mean, we have a ton of alts, but we self-sustain our characters. Like, I can do anything I want for my character. Make my own potions, flasks. I can make my own armor, whatever it is. I have alts that do all of it for me. So, like, I guess I'm so used to the pug world where, yeah, I'm totally self-sufficient as a raider. totally take care of myself.
and you still have that kind of mentality, and it's funny, and it's okay. Like, you can supply your own stuff, you can do all that. I'm just accustomed to, blowing money, and you guys need stuff.
Don't
you
I know?
got it. Yeah, and because that's what I excel at. Like, I'm not
Spending money.
yeah, I don't. Well, making money too, but I like my skills lie elsewhere. Like, I have, I probably have the capability of doing like Mythic Rating and things like that. I don't think I have the mentality, but when my back's to the wall, I'm gonna perform. But that's not where the passion really lies. My passion really just lies with supporting you guys. And it's like, what do you guys need? What do you guys want? Okay, cool. Let's go that, and I'll help, and I'll do everything I can to help push that, unless it really conflicts with any of my interests. So, I don't know. It was Senjien, I think, who mentioned friendly rivalry, friendly competition, and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So tonight, and I'll say it louder. I'll say it for clarity. Tonight we had voted, or you guys had voted, to abandon the guild bounty, where I just give gold to the best guild team that performed in a Keystone Dungeon. Whoever did the highest Keystone Dungeon is at least a 3-person guild group. That team gets 10 grand each. But it was voted out. So I'm curious, like, what are some of your afterthoughts on that?
Okay. I can say that it has nothing to do with the idea. It has to do with the tools that Blizzard has provided to us on how to manage it. The board can just easily get swept off by pugs, and I understand. I mean, we all have random schedules and things like that. So, like, people like Neb or Jui, who's got odd hours and stuff like that, if they want to get gear that's worth even getting, they have to pug a higher keystone with whoever they can find to do it with. And and that's nothing wrong. It's just that with the few amount of slots that the Mythic board, the way we're using it to go by, it's so easy for actual guild group that was up there to just get taken off the table, and it gets buried. You can't find it and things like that. So it's not a problem with the method. It's the problem with the way Blizzard kind of allows us to track that information. For me, at least, that's what I feel.
Yeah, for me, it was more of a, because it is friendly competition, but I don't feel that in friendly competition you want there to be a sense of fairness. And I think there was, like Sam was saying, that the way the tools were set up, it seems like people who are good players, like, having to leave them out. I know last week, based off of what we're doing, one of the players had an easier key dungeon, so poor Jui's like, hey, I can run Mythic Pluses, and we're like, sorry, you don't got this key, and it makes you feel yucky. And yeah, but nevertheless, I mean, I think that's one thing is as a guild, you don't want to have to put someone in that box of let's all work as a group, but except this time you're not really beneficial to me, and it's a terrible feeling to either exclude someone from the group, or especially being excluded yourself. I mean, I'm in kind of the lucky situation where I'm a tank, so it kind of needed, but
yeah, lucky you.
I mean, it sucks, man. I felt super bad about that. It's is the money even worth it to
Yes.
make your guild? Oh yeah.
Well, for me,
sure.
I was like, whatever, 30 grand.
Yeah, it's minimal. It doesn't affect I'll still play WoW for free forever anyway, so it's not going to change anything. But yeah, I think as a guild, you don't want to exclude things. It's like in your family, you're like, all right, the first person who gets home from work, you get $5. Everybody else, good luck out there.
Yeah. The whole point was to try to just try and encourage people to participate, to do stuff together. And
I think that's noble, but it ended up being the only people who ran it were the people who normally run the dungeons anyway.
Right.
Yep.
The idea was like let's say in the case of Neb or I don't like Live and What's a Hunter. They tend to roll together pretty often. Whenever I would look at the Mythic Dungeon thingamajig, and I would see, and I'd be like, well, it'd be cool if Live and What's a Hunter were to, like, let's say if they wanted to try their hand at it, they could just get one more guildie and try to work something out. So like the idea, which had failed, and that's okay. The idea though was to try to get people to organically start building groups together. You know, it's like okay, cool. The time sink is bad, but let's try to talk to each other and see how to make it work. So in the future, I'll try and talk with folks more, or when I'm thinking up stuff, you know, try to think of ways to, well, to let people feel, you know, a little bit more included and stuff like that. But just I guess along that same vein, there are other things that I have done to do gold giveaways. One was to just kind of do a random-ish, well, it was pretty random, a random lottery based on people who have been attending raids and things like that, or who have noticed are like helpful to the guild. And then the other ones are just like ones that have nothing to do with merit at all. It's just like, let's just do stuff. Let's do a fashion show. Let's do a guild race.
The guild race.
So,
I did love that fashion show.
So I wanted to ask you guys, like, what do you guys think would be better? Like, should it be things that are based on merit, or should they just be like things for fun?
Both. I think a combination of both.
Yeah, it's well, yeah. I mean, I agree with Jui. The fun stuff, you have to throw in a little bit of fun every now and then because it kind of gives the guild that sense of camaraderie. While the merit stuff, you know, kind of gives people the incentive to do good towards the guild in that matter. So I think a combination of both would be beneficial depending on how you want your guild to end up, like, socially.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's fun. Like I think that the fun ways to do it but you want to like try to reward the things that are important, like things like raid attendance, like having like a random lotto on like certain lists or something. You'd be like, well, those who weren't here, you weren't here, or you know, those who are there for all of them get like, you know, extra chances to win or something. So you're still incentivizing, you know, the core idea, which is to raid, right? I think that's the goal, and that way you're still encouraging minimal effort, like at least, hey, show up, but you're not like making people like push their hair out of like, oh, okay, well, I could go to bed, but I want to get that chance at this thing, so I'm gonna stay up another 2 hours to push this, and you know, you really separating those who are willing to put in the effort versus those who, because we are a casual guild, that's why I wanted to bring up the subject, is because we're a casual guild, there's certain standards that, you know, we can't require of all players, right? You know, we can't tell everybody that they need to bust their hump, bust the Mythic Pluses, because that's just not what we are as a guild. So yeah, it kind of goes in the face of that. So
yeah, there are certain things that would just disqualify some people outright, and it wouldn't be entirely fair. Like, Julie's a high performer, but he can only show up on Tuesdays, and that's, well, that sucks, you know. And that's one reason why we did progression tonight instead of Thursday, was with respect to that. Like, I think it was over the weekend, and I think I was just like waking up, or I was taking a nap or something like that, and he was like, "Hey, Julie's asking you about something." I'm like, what?
And I was like, make him wake up.
Actually, she said that he said, well, take your time or whatever. But anyway, but yeah, like, he made the request, and it was reasonable. And it sucks because historically, and this is over a matter of years, because Julie and I go hella way back, like, you know, Julie always wanted to kind of have like this like small schedule adjustments here and there, because understandably it would suit him better, and I'd be kind of stuck because I would need to try to stick with that kind of the agreed schedule that the rest of the raid has had to has had to commit to. And thankfully though, with like flex rating and things like that, that's no longer an issue. So now it's like, oh, you can only come one day. Okay, now it's like this, you know, just come as a DPS, so it won't feel as bad whenever you can't show, or if your schedule doesn't work out. So things like that I do applaud Blizzard for with with helping out casual guilds. If we were a mythic guild, then we would go back to that kind of conversation where we'd have to make a decision. Can I bring Jui? Can I not? Or do I have someone sit in his place on a Thursday? Well, that's not going to make that person who gets pushed out on Tuesday. That's not going to make them feel very good, just because
no one can fit my space.
Because no one can fit in Jui's big ass space. It's so those are the things that, as a casual guild, we would encounter if we wanted to push mythic stuff. I know that if AJ was here, he would have had words about. I think he wanted to have words about Mythic being locked to 20 man, and well, I don't know if that was a thought that was on your guys' agenda, but I do want to get some feedback on that. Not now, but whenever you feel.
Oh no, that I fully understand. I think because of the way the encounters are set up, that Blizzard setting that at 20, I don't have a problem with it. It's not 40. I mean, I understand back in the days when you could do 25 man and 10 man. It's like
Nice
that
input, man.
split. But I think it's fair for all to if it's across the board. Hey, these are the rules. Follow them. It's 20 man. That's what it is. Then I think that I have no problem with it. I really don't.
Haven't they gone on record saying that it's not meant to be pugged?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was the question inside here also, like, why can't it be flexible at all? Or because I understand why it's set to 20 as well, because it makes tuning things so much easier. In my opinion, I feel like that's another reason why they have it stuck at 20, is like it's not a ridiculous amount of people that people have to try and get into a core group, and they don't have to worry about like tuning it to alter anytime somebody can't be there, or extra people can be in there and stuff like that. So
I think it keeps guilds relevant. Like if there was no forced requirement on anything, you just really wouldn't need to be in a guild anymore.
Yep. But at the same time, it feels like Mythic Rating, as well as Mythic Rating being locked to a server, those are like the last bastions of both guild identity and server identity. And to me, that ain't good enough. Like, there's got to be more than just rating that makes a guild feel like a guild. This is something that gives it gives it a name. And at the moment, I'm not quite seeing that. There's no way for a guild to really identify itself as anything except just a collection of people. There's no way to really define it.
Well, now that Mythic Plus guilds is a thing. PvP guilds, obviously. Us being on PvP server, we're well aware of that. But,
well, if you raid, you have to do Mythic Plus. If you're high end, you're doing Mythic Plus.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're talking about on that level, though. I think we're saying, like, are you saying that Mythics is the kind of the only way for a guild to define itself?
I think I know what he means, in the sense of like, he wishes there were more reasons to be in a guild other than raiding like that, to kind of have yourself identified as a guild. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the way Blizzard commercializes WoW nowadays. Like, you want to be able to target to people that are playing this game solo. It's sad, but like a lot of the game has changed because of how much they were able to open the market on, like, well, you can log in for like an hour or two a day, get your stuff done on your own, and still see everything. LFR was invented for that purpose. Like, as much as I know they say that it's so that way everyone can get a taste of the stuff that they put out, like, it incentivizes like playing by yourself. Like, yay, man, here's a game. Yeah, it's a MMORPG, but you don't have to talk to people. You don't have to like actually work together with anybody. You can log in and kind of just do your thing and then log off whenever you want. And I think it was just a marketing strategy for Blizzard, and it's paid off. It hurts us players that like to do like group type play style, but in the end, Blizzard is a company, and they're gonna utilize what it's gonna make them money.
Well, if you played Diablo 2, guilds were a big thing in Diablo 2, but they weren't, like, there wasn't like a system in the game for it. It was just something you kind of did. And WoW copied a lot off Diablo 2, but they just kind of created an actual guild system.
See, I'm gonna take another side to that. So, a long time ago, before WoW, I played EverQuest for a little bit. And the reason I didn't like EverQuest is because you'd have to get in a group of 5 people, sit around and kill the same mobs over and over and over and over. And so when I first heard about WoW, I was like, well, can I play it by myself if I want to? And the answer was yes. And that's what I did.
But you played in vanilla, didn't you?
Yeah, I played a warlock. So 0 to 60, I leveled by myself. And then I started to really think about Molten Core and whatnot, and I was like, I want to be in this. And so that's when I kind of changed my aspects and got into a guild and kind of pushed on that. And I changed my own mentality, but the reason I came to the game in the first place is I could play by myself.
Until you got to that one quest where you needed 18 people to kill the elite mob.
Oh, in the Eastern Playlands? Yeah.
In every zone.
Yeah, but even then, all you gotta do is you shout in general chat, looking for this quest. They still find me shouting general chat for.
No way, you're nuts. You're a warlock. You just feared the whole time, dude.
Yeah,
Summon a
that's
Void
what
Walker.
I did. I know that's what I did. I just summoned Void Walker and I would pop Hellstones and I'd resummon the thing as I feared it and they would pick up aggro again. I was there
Did
too.
you cast Life Tap?
I did cast
I just think that, there's just a fear of, you were saying earlier with guild leadership. I think just people being in a leadership role almost to begin with is a kind of a flaw built in this game. Look at, not to mention other podcasters and YouTubers, but preach the video right there of like getting people into tanking and healing now. It's because people are so afraid to jump into a role where they might have to have responsibilities, because there's kind of been a long time where you can kind of do whatever and it'll get taken care of for you. And so I think, it's a good thing to get people out there and try it, but that's what got me into tanking to begin with. Is honestly, I hated waiting for a group. I couldn't stand it. And I was like, I'm just gonna be a tank. Let's make my own groups. And yeah, sometimes it sucks, man. Like, I've been called the worst tank in the world.
Yeah, the community can be poisonous like that, man.
Yeah, like it can turn you off fast. But
that's why I stay. That's why I like to do guild stuff. And then people call me God Tank, or they'll sarcastically call me God Tank when I get rolled on and shit.
Yeah, so. But that's the thing is, there's so many players out there right now that who just don't know any better, right? Like if they were falling into a guild like this, right? Like, because I didn't know any better. I was like, I'm used to the toxic, like, screw you. I'm just gonna drop this group and just leave people hanging high and dry. But I think people are used to that mentality now, and they've kind of built up that wall to it. And so, if Blizzard would find a way to maybe update their guild finder tool that would kind of let those people who are floundering out there, who have that skill, the talent, and the drive, they just don't know how to do it. For me to find this guild, it was pure luck.
Wasn't it thanks to Medell?
Yeah. No, actually, I scavenged. I was on all the forums, Reddit, all that stuff, right? Like trying to find a guild that worked for me, because for me it was a time-based thing. And
how the fuck did
I happened
you
to
find
see you posted a random blurb in general chat, and I asked, "What are your raid times?" And you're like, "Oh, these are the times." And I was like, "Those are the times I'm looking for. Do you need a tank?" And that's
fuck, it was
literally
me. Okay, I just hella suck then. I don't remember.
Old school.
Oh man, no, that wasn't old school. That wasn't that long ago.
No,
so.
that was mid wad. Yeah, because it just happened to work out, because it's just so hard to get in touch. And I had bounced around. I had switched servers to be in a guild that had like merged together, and they disbanded on the 3rd raid that I joined, and that's how I ended up on Bleeding Hollow to begin with. Because I was like, yeah, I can finally tank in a raid.
Damn.
That's hard to do too. And so I joined, switched over my characters and all that, and then 3rd raid in, the 2 co-leads like had a fight, and they're like, that we're going back. And then so that was it. Like they split up already. I was like, they're like, yeah, sorry man, you transferred servers, but yeah, we're gonna move back. I was like, oh god.
Yeah, I remember.
Sorry,
you
go ahead, Senjien.
Oh no, because him and I I remember because I was still playing, and Shad had actually kind of like taken a break for a while, and I would just show up to work talking about playing and this and that, like all this, like not hyping it up, but I've always been so fascinated by the game and like the little things in the lore, and I just go to work and I talk with Shad about like the new stuff that's coming out in the game and like the lore and everything like that to kind of entice him to come back. And it's kind of always been our thing when we're at work and stuff. We'll talk about things that's going on in the game, and he's actually managed to pull me away from the Alliance side of things by bringing me over to the Bleeding Hollow.
Good.
Funny how that worked out, but it's kind of how him and I have always done it since we've known each other.
Yeah, it's funny, like you mentioned that, because he actually, that's what got me kind of back, is I leveled this guy up and I was like, I'll go back and I'll be in his guild. And so I was in his guild with him and his buddy, like the 3-person guild, and I was like, this is not what a guild, like, it's not helping you out at all, man. Like, you're just, you're floundering here. I was like, I'm in a guild that, we're actually running things, and then that guild fell right apart, and I was like, yeah, never mind about that. But then I found this guild, and I was like, hey man, I'm in this guild, and it's working out good. Everybody's nice. We're actually running things. We're clearing content at like a reasonable pace, and you should really get in on this. And so it took him
I got invited by Delco.
But yeah,
Damn.
I mean, I think that's what it is. I mean, right now, I mean, a lot of the players in this guild are through word of mouth, and so I don't know if anybody's watching this. If you're a good player, hey.
It's true. That's how I got Breezy and Strongmar to join too. I mean, they're guys I work with, and I'm like they weren't having fun playing by themselves. They wanted to actually do content. I'm like, well, join the guild, and if you work on your character. I'm surprised how quickly Breezy picked up the game, because he actually literally started this expansion. And,
He's all right, I guess.
He just walks up, infinite DPS.
So, see it's funny, like, I think it was you that whispered me earlier about it, Chad. Yeah, we were talking about, like, the bounty stuff, and you had said something along the lines of, God, I don't know how I could only just work on one tune, like, ever. And then you logged before I can give the answer. So I'll give you the answer now, and it's because this guild needs a tank, like, all the damn time. Like, historically, we've had, I could probably name all the tanks that we've had.
Let's see, Soul, Corey, Medell done.
Yeah,
Chad.
Well, we've had others too. Like while you were kind of sporadic, Julie, or while you weren't around, like Jer was a tank for a little while.
Oh, I forgot about Jer.
There was like AJ's roommate. I think his name was Trollout. He was a tank. We had there's what's his name? The damn warrior at the beginning of Mob. The one we joke about became like a ladyboy.
Moog? Oh,
No. I think Moog wanted to tank for a little bit too. More shots, I think it was. Yeah, we've only had a couple, and like one of the staples of POW, the things that are like always ever constant, is that I'm gonna tank like until I die. Like I don't see myself being. Unfortunately, I don't see myself being anything else, and I've come to terms with that because it has been 9 years, and I better have come to terms with that by now. Otherwise, what's wrong with me?
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, but that's why. It's because, despite how long the guild has been running, I think it's as stable as any other. Like there are things that can make it fall apart pretty easily. Like if I were to stop tanking, I'm not quite sure how easy it would be for the guild to recover from that. Or if Mary did stop healing like forever, that would be a big pain. But we did deal with it for a couple of months. But he was definitely missed.
Yeah, it was rough. No, I'm saying, like, because I mean, I do, so I can understand, like, not getting out of that role. I fully get, but I just find it interesting that, like, especially like end of Hellfire and all that, where we're just blowing away things. And I'm like, I don't know, even just like try a druid or something, see what a blood decay does.
No.
Hellfire was also not good.
Hardcore.
Not good at what?
Hellfire was also not good.
Not good. What?
I hated that raid.
It wasn't that. I don't think it was that bad. Doing it for
I
so
didn't raid
long,
with
that was
Pow.
bad. Oh, I don't remember.
I didn't raid normal at all, but I did that dungeon.
And you loved it. There's a comment here on the stream, and I'll just read out. I'll just vomit these words out. A lot of that toxic mentality and behaviors of players came out of the ability to do battlegrounds and dungeon queues. Back in well, here's the real part. Back in vanilla, you sure had dickheads that ninja looted, but those players would be blackballed and exiled in the forums, and no one would play with them, and so on and so forth. I don't remember that at all. Like, cause like I was for the most part like a solo-ish player back in vanilla. I was kind of in a guild, but it was kind of a dead guild anyway. But I just like pugged and did whatever. I didn't really like it very much, but I don't remember hearing much about like the whole black belling or the exile of people. And I was on, well, I think I was on a not very large server, but I don't know. People seem to be dickheads all the time, regardless.
Yeah, it's true.
I
So,
don't
okay,
remember
so-
doing groups before Group Finder.
Yeah, so I'll feel this one. So this is one of those common misnomers of like people have the kind of blinders on of it's like when people used to loot. Remember that? They're like, oh, just report him. Blizzard will give it back. And like, no, they don't. They don't do that. And the same thing with Blackbone. Like that, even that got out of control because you'd see people like spamming for a group, and then like they'd be like, oh, don't believe that guy's a ninja looter, and that became like a thing of just trolling people. And
Yeah,
so,
like I would see a lot of that shit. Yeah, I would see a lot of that shit, and people would say stuff in trade or looking for group channel or whatever it was. But for the most part, like all it did was delay you by a little bit.
And if you were on
the thing.
Yeah, but I mean, I could see if you were like those original high-end raiders, like those guilds like Death by Taxes and whatever, and like if you were a high-end raider and did that kind of stuff, it would follow you. But if you were an average everyday dude, I mean, you could recover from that.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, if you could prove that you made an agreement back in the day and like you took screenshots of it and showed Blizzard, they would take action.
Oh, that's.
But then they added Master Looter, and it was like, well, you didn't have it on Master Looter, so that's your fault.
So it's like screw you, pretty much. Yeah, but I don't quite buy into that excuse that people give. Well, vanilla was like this, and it was like so much, the whole social thing. We were protected. No, you weren't protected. It didn't stop the behavior from happening. It just made it so that there were consequences, but it didn't stop shit.
The only thing it would stop is you having to wait like another hour to find a tank, so you kind of deal with whatever, because finding a group is much more difficult. So you're willing to put up with a little bit more.
Yeah, and like if you were like a super high profile tank in a super hot guild, you didn't do that. You didn't really do that shit anyway. If anything, like that's how things are. That's how things were anyway back then. Like high end guilds, they would just either master loot or people would just ninja from like the little pugs that they would recruit, and then the pugs would complain, and no one would give a shit because the guild's like, well, we're the fucking guild. Who gives a shit about you? It's the same difference the way I see it.
Yeah, guilds back then, it was like, we will take you, but we get all the loot. You just get the privilege of being here.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it was, and it's not like someone else can be like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna hop onto the premier group tool. Oh, you didn't have shit, so we're just fucked.
Yeah, so is that still a thing too? Like trial runs with guilds, is that a thing still?
Yeah, that's
it is. Like Corey and Kata's guild, I know we talk about them much. People don't even know who the fuck they are. They actually are doing a merger, and they just did a trial run with another guild tonight because they're like number 2 on Anderhall right now.
Ooh, that's such a big deal.
From all 6 guilds, they're number.
Yeah, and I think we were like 7. So
I think I want to go back to kind of our progression. I think, you mentioned earlier that you feel like it's slow, but I mean, personally, I feel like we're, right on point, especially compared to how we used to be.
Talking about what I said or what Shad said?
I think it was Shad who said it.
Because I didn't say shit. I'll tell you. I didn't give my personal opinion on it.
Using the word slow.
No, I think he was just meaning the fact that with the talent that we do have, we could be doing it faster, to be honest. I mean, it's just a matter of cleaning up ourselves a little bit, and it's just the way it goes with the way we are. You know, we're casual, so we do joke around and we tend to make similar mistakes. But I think where it comes into play is we should, like, there could be a little bit more like, all right, knock it off, clean it up, and let's actually talk about what we're doing wrong and get it fixed.
So let's get into let me try to get some specifics from the two of you, from Senjien and Shad, because I think this is the first time you guys have this since Hellfire, this is the first time you guys are really sitting on progression with us. Like, this is something brand new. This is it. You know, shit that we haven't done before. So, you know, from a more leader-ish kind of chair, like, what kinds of steps would you take? Not like straight actions, but what kinds of directions would you want to go to help, like, improve the team, or, you know, what kind of disciplines would you guys want to introduce? I'll put you on the spot. Sorry.
Oh, no. If Chad, you want to take it first, or if not, I can.
You know, I got it first. For me, first of all, I think it's this is gonna be tough to say as a casual, because you're gonna like, oh, well, you're a casual guild, so how can you make, you know, DPS requirements? But I think there's a thing of just like just having an open dialogue that people can be afraid to say, like, people afraid to ask for help. They really are, and I think sometimes the easiest way to have people get help is to, I don't know, point it out. I know it's kind of a weird way nowadays that people, like, you know, don't like to be singled out for, you know, not performing correctly, but I mean, there's a lot of people out there who just don't notice. It's the way that the WoW's become, where if you let it be the status quo, then it is the status quo. And as soon as you say, like, hey man, you know, you sure you're doing things right? Is there anything, you know, you want to, like, maybe help a little bit? And I think a lot of people out there would be like, oh yeah, I could use some help. Like, you know, I looked at the logs, I saw, like, you're always in, like, you know, below 10% for your item level brackets, or there's something you kind of need help with. And I think there's people out there in this guild who have done that and realize that, you know, hey, I'm not playing to my potential, but it's, some people just don't know it, and to bring it up and maybe point it out faster, of like, hey, maybe you're not performing at your potential, that you could be even, you know, even a remote range. You know, we're not asking players to be in the 90 percentile, you know, be hitting legendary on every fight on logs, which, you know, I mean, there's cheese stress and all that through against it, but I think that, again, walks that fine line of, we're a casual guild, so it's hard to say, like, setting performance requirements, but I think that might help people improve. I mean, that's, you don't know you're doing something wrong until someone points it out, right? It's, I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of my military background. You're used to being corrected, and you make those corrections, you move on, and you don't take it personal. But I don't know if everyone has that mentality, and so
I'm kind of in, I don't mean to like totally interrupt. I'm gonna let both you guys continue with your full thoughts. I just needed your help to jog my memory. Didn't I, during Hellfire, did I assess everybody at one point? Like, I spent like a week.
By assessment,
I think I spent a week, like, going to people and be like, hey, come into chat with me, let's talk about your performance really quick, and then I pointed out stuff. Did I do that, like, in like recently?
Maybe you never did with me, because I was always perfect. I don't know.
You didn't do it by the time I joined, so I mean, I wouldn't have any idea.
Okay, so I guess not. You know, actually, I think it was when Mufi and his guild. So, like, it was like Mufi and Chap and Amelia. It was like when a bunch of them came over, and I think I talked with each of them with their performance.
That might be, yeah, because I think they had joined maybe a month or so before I had come. Because I remember having a talk with Mufi about the guild and how, you know, we were in a much nicer place. So that's probably where that arose from.
All right. So anyway, I'll go ahead and let you guys continue with what you were saying.
But yeah, I mean, it all starts from, like I said, we're in a guild without officers, so, you know, you're in the kind of odd position of, you set the tone for everyone, so it's always going to be your say. So if you want to if you feel people aren't performing, then say it. But I mean, you live and die by your rules, which I'm more than happy to follow. So again, I always kind of have to unfortunately fall back to you. If you feel that there's a decent pace, I mean, I'm not upset by any means. I mean, I'm happy with the progression we make. But if you want to go there, I'd be more than happy to, help out whoever needs help. I mean, I love reading logs. I've taught some people how to, held that little class on how to actually read logs and stuff, and people attended it, and people were excited to like see it and kind of like go through logs with people and be like, this is how you read it, and compare yourself and check your rotations and see where you're at. And I think people enjoyed that. Like, everybody wants to do better, right? Like, you don't want to be, no one wants to be carried, like in a real sense, not like trying to gear up a crappy ult. But when you see that guy, like, if you look at the logs and you're always, bottom of the DPS charts, you're dead in every fight midway through. You don't want that. Like, no one wants to go through life like, I didn't contribute anything and still got all the goods.
Yeah, Senjien.
Maybe that does happen.
Senjien, do you have any additional thoughts? And then I'd like Julie to give his input based on what you guys said.
Yeah, I guess to kind of follow up with what Shad said, I mean, your leadership style is kind of laissez-faire type style. You don't deal with the issue until the issue arises, and I mean that's a certain type of leadership quality that, like, if we're doing an actual like raid or something like that, we give it the old college try a few times, and if we notice somebody's lacking in DPS, that's after so many tries, that's when we cut them and things like that. And I mean, I don't have a problem with it at all. I understand you want to give everyone the try, and as well as, I mean, we're a casual guild, so yeah, let's give everyone the chance to improve and be better at it. And then if it's not paying off, then there comes that time when you cut the line and we're like, okay, we're gonna have to drop you, and then we'll see where we go from there. But like things that we can do to help improve, I think one thing would be is just to be a little bit more clear with mechanics. And I know a lot of the times we take the approach of like, well, what happened there? Like, and then we talk about what happened and then we try to correct it, instead of being a little proactive and being like, this is what she's going to do, and this is what we are going to do to avoid being stuck in those situation type things. And I don't know if it would be better for us to do it with like all the melee have kind of like a talk about it and be like, hey guys, like, this is what we're doing wrong and this is what we need to fix it now that we've already been in there and seen it. Or if, in the range, to kind of come up with a game plan of where they want to stand. This is their spot, this is where they're going to be, and this is where they know they have to move when a situation like this occurs. Just to kind of have an overall idea and a mindset of like what they should be doing if that type of situation arises, rather than kind of dealing with it as it comes.
Yeah, I gotta jump in on this real quick, because like, yeah, Senjien is the irks, because like, I am a dude who watches like 5 different types of YouTube videos for like boss traps and stuff. As soon as they're released, I'm studying it. It's great toilet watching, if anybody wants to know. It's the best way to kill some time. But like, I don't expect everyone to do that. But like, when we started progression, and you're like, let's just run in there and do it, and I was like, what? Like, my brain broke. I could not believe that someone would want to go in this situation.
I could totally tell your irritation whenever I'd be like, all right guys, here we go, and then you'd be like,
yeah, and I get it, because sometimes you just want to get those jitters, right? Of like, what kind of people see it and all that stuff. But I guess I think that's why we work well as a battery, because you have that like, let's see what's going on here, and I like to hold back and like, okay, let's have a plan before we do this. It's a strategic. I mean, all these bosses are strategic plans, right? This is the way you're supposed to do it, and so yeah, I think it works out. But I just thought it was so jarring to just run into it and just goof around. I was like, is this what's gonna happen? But I mean, it all happened.
Is this my life now?
What did I sign up for?
And I was like, oh no, I've made a huge mistake. I felt like I was Job on Arrested Development. But yeah, no, I think for me, yeah, that's one thing. I agree with Senjien on that too, of like just having that command and group is like, rather than like this, screwing around for, let's look at the logs right now, 14 polls of, the same mark. Like at some point you're like, okay, everyone stop. Let's go through what we're doing.
All right, let's let Jury run his mouth for a bit.
What were we talking about?
This bitch.
No, just got. No, I mean, like I said before, our guild rides that line between, we're very casual, but we have the talent to do better. And I think this expansion, we're in a very unique position in the fact that, we now don't have limits. We can just bring whoever the hell we want from wherever the hell we want. And, it kind of, in some ways it holds us back. In some ways it makes the guild a better place because we have better people. But, you got to pick one or the other. You can't be both. You can't be. That's just, those things don't mix, because somebody's going to screw up and somebody's going to get their feelings hurt. Somebody's going to get removed. Somebody's going to get, somebody's not going to be able to go when they want to go. And, that's just not what our guild in particular is. We're not the kind of guild that says, well, no, you can't come unless it's Neb. But and like, as far as when it comes to what guilds can do, in particular, it isn't really, the guild is kind of the overseer. It's up to people to be better. So if people don't want to make themselves better, then a hardcore guild would like, the guild leader would be like, okay, well, you can't come, you gotta go, you're not performing to what we need. So as far as getting better, it's just kind of a POW. It's kind of what's good about POW, because we make everyone better together by failing. It's like, oh, we failed 15 times at this, and eventually, if you're bad, you look and be like, oh, well, maybe I should change this talent, maybe I should change this talent. I'm obviously not doing as good as everybody else.
But don't you feel like that is something that, I mean, yes, initially I understand, but after a while, that's where someone can come in and be like, hey, I noticed this is what's going on. Have you tried this or this? Like, it's when like Loka joined the guild as a demon hunter, and I took one look at his artifact weapon and I was like, hey man, like, you completely went the wrong way. You have certain talents that you're using that won't benefit you until you have stat weights that are at a certain percentage, and that kind of thing. I feel like we fell together, we do that, but there should be a point in time where somebody is willing to, like, hey, what can I do to help somebody who's struggling right now? And it might not only be mechanically, it might just be something that it's completely new. Like, Demon Hunter was completely new to him, and I know because I went through those struggles when I started playing the Demon Hunter, and I would spend like time at work talking with Shad, like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've been looking at things, and like, no matter which way I do it, like, I'm just not parsing very well. And it just took a lot of practice. That's when he would tell me like you need to find the rotation that suits your play style and go into your class order hall and just work on it for like as much as you can on a target dummy until you get it down and you start seeing yourself improving. And then from there, take it into LFR, log yourself there and see how you're improving. And I understand not everybody's wanting to go that extra step and do all that work because they don't have the time the way I do. But I feel like that's somewhere someone can come in and be like, hey, I noticed, you were having issues during the fight, let's take a look at the logs and see what it is you're doing wrong, or that might be hurting you and what you can do to improve it.
Well, I mean, like, I'll use myself as an example. Like, I obviously research my class, I figure out what the best, things are. Being a DPS, I didn't do that as healer. But some people, can't be bothered. It's like, well, where do I go to research it? And I know, with Google existing, everybody knows about Google, so it's kind of silly when people, like, when I see, like, when we had Ike the other day, he had every talent the absolute wrong talent.
Oh my god, yeah, that was...
And I'm like, dude, like, you just, like there are so many resources out there. It's like, I know you're new, but this is a game where a lot of things are cookie cutter. As much as Blizzard doesn't want that.
Dude, this game was cookie cutter back when it was, talent trees and points and all. I mean, still like Papa, Alakazam, like
it's been cookie cutter
then.
ever since people was able to figure out like what the best thing is to do, and a lot of people agreed with them. That's
Yeah,
that's
well,
pretty much
I
all the
mean,
time.
that being said, like we also put a lot of focus into things that aren't really important. Like we look at certain classes like, oh, that class sucks. Well, no, they actually don't really suck. They're just a little bit lower than everybody. It's like Elemental Shaman, for example. Everyone's like, oh, Elemental Shamans are just garbage. No, they're not. They're actually pretty damn good, especially in Mythic Pluses. Affliction Warlocks, they're really good in Affliction or in a Mythic Plus. Their just numbers are a little bit lower than some of the other things. They're not bad. They're good.
Yeah, Soul.
Like you like some some
Get some
classes, some
gear,
people will
bitch.
freak out because like, oh well, that doesn't have my perfect stats on it. It's like, well, I don't have your perfect stats on it, but really no stats are bad, like unless it's versatility.
Hey, as a warrior, you shut your mouth.
Yeah, man, don't be mean. So, you guys know me well enough. You've seen my style. You've heard the quotes. It's not a problem till it's a problem. That sort of thing. That's my style. I don't look at fights. I almost never look at fights. I
don't either.
I look at Dungeon Journal. I look at a couple things, and I'm like, oh, I can't read this shit. Let's do it. And that's when I, punch in /ready check, because the way that my style of playing and rating is a puzzle game, and part of the puzzle is to have the raid, the pieces in the right place, and then from there we execute on the things that'll get us to the end of the puzzle, or a dead boss, or we somehow break mechanics and we get a dead boss anyway, and from there, the kinds of goals that I set for guildies is usually pretty straightforward. It's just choose what you want, and then be the best whatever that is that you can be. I don't look up my class really. I look up like certain things, and I try to get I try to inspire different ideas, and then I try to see if there's anything else that I can do to make myself better as a player. I'll try to find a certain spec, a certain stat weight that I think might work better for me. In this case, it didn't work out, and in some other expansions, I've tried crazy things and it worked. But that's all I encourage from folks, even the ones that can only show up like just on raid nights. For those kinds of folks, and I'm mostly thinking about like 10 who hasn't been able to come on in like for like a couple months now. But when it comes to just about anyone, I just want to encourage them. Hey, be the best. You do you, right? You be the best. You be the best. Prop paladin, elemental, shaman, affliction, warlock, whatever. You try to do the best that you can. Listen, and be a part of the team. If you're not a part of the team, then you and I are going to have really big problems, which is why I had a big problem with Neb, because despite his performance and things like that, he wasn't really being much of a team player. That's why he got benched, not because he was like linking his legendaries all the time, but because he thought he can just do what he wanted. And I had to show him, and I had to show the rest of the guild that if you want to raid with us, then on raid time, I expect you to just be around and be available, not to just do something else that is that I consider less important to the guild's goals. But when it does come to the guild's goals, not just the individual person's, my job here I got a drink.
Is it Patron?
No, it's vodka in a big ass bottle. No. But my job is every Tuesday and Thursday to have something to do, and about 90-something% of the time, I can come through on that. The exception would be like holidays or something extreme that happened, or some other commitment that I have that doesn't let me show up, whatever. But that's it. That's the goal of POW, to give people, to give us folk, us casual folk, something to do, on these nights, on the game that we like, playing. And I'm not going to skimp on the standards of, hey, let's try to not do uh, the really hard thing, but I want to take what we have and challenge ourselves, as much as we reasonably can, given our schedules, given our lifestyles, and things like that. And and I don't try to push people harder than I push myself. And like I was saying earlier, my skill sets are in other things. I'm mostly on the psychological things on WoW, on money making and stuff like that. Those are some of the things that are fun to me, and that's why I still run the guild. That's why I don't just play the game. I don't Playing the game. It's not that big of a thing. It's not that big of a deal for me. It's just raiding. It's just a puzzle game, but it's fun because I get to deal with you guys. I get to hang out with people and build relationships, and that's what's important to me. Killing bosses is not. It just happens to be for a lot of you guys, and I support that. So.
Well, I mean, personally, I play the game for the end game. I mean, raiding is, if it weren't for raiding, there's really no other reason for me to play the game.
And
Yeah, me too. Rating is what keeps me in this game.
yeah, and well, to be honest, there are, and I don't know how much Soul gets to see about it, but there are some things that happen, like behind the scenes when Soul is off doing, whatever he's doing, his magic.
Making videos,
yeah,
making money.
we do get like Shad, myself, Moof, AJ. We do get like people coming to us and asking for like, hey, how do I, learn to read logs, or hey, how can I play my class better, and things like that. And it does happen. We do have people coming to certain players and asking for help on how to do certain things, and I mean, I don't know how much of that is seen by you, or you pick up or hear, but there are definitely people in this guild that are wanting to improve their play style, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Well, I guess it happens on those nights I've noticed where you do kind of buckle down in a sense. You're like, all right, guys, get your shit together, type deal. You don't say it verbatim like that, but you kind of get that vibe where like, oh shit, Soul's like wants us to get serious. So those are the nights I've noticed mostly where we'll get people coming to us after a raid and be like, hey, what can I do to get better? And like, where can we go from there? So, and like I said, I don't know how much of that gets back to you, or how much you notice that.
I get wind of it. And sometimes you guys will just tell me, hey, I've talked with such and such, and I went over logs with this person. I taught him how to do this. Let's see what happens, and then that person and I will kind of chit chat a little bit, and we'll go from there. Other times I'll be and I'll be, not as public about it. I'll take someone aside. Usually it's like Tech or someone, or someone who might whisper me and say, hey, can you take a look at this, and tell me what you think. I know like Tech has done it, Chappie has done it. I don't really remember names off the top of my head at the moment, but yeah, they would take me aside and be like, all right, I'll take a look at this, and then I'll do the kind of usual thing that I'll do with Warcraft logs. I'll find a comparison that's pretty decent. I'll look for big outliers. Hey, this is the talent selection here. This is the this seems to be the dominant skill there. At the same time, though, I'm not I have the aptitude, but I don't have the immediate skill as a player to be like, okay, this is the thing that you should be doing, or this is the rotation that you should be doing. It's 36 fucking specs. I'm not gonna remember everything. But I am gonna look for. I'm gonna find outliers. But more importantly, when it comes to the raid, I'll look for those are the things that I'll be able to spot much better. Like I remember when we were progressing on Heroic Scenarios, and there were like certain things we were doing, and like it had like the whole Marvel Iron Man kind of looking thing where I would look at the screen and I would see like all these different, effects appear. Okay, we can go there, we can go here. At the 30-second mark, we could go here, and all these different gears would run in my head, and then from there, I'd be like, all right, stop. Here's what's gonna happen, and then that's how we came up with some of the strategies that we ended up having that got us the pretty easy kill.
And then Juie came and we killed it first try.
And then that because it was so easy. Oh my god! But those are that's more my skill set. It's more the encounter mechanics and getting people to do what they're doing. Like right before we started doing the PowCast, I was starting to do kind of the things for Phase 1 Hellia in my head. I'm like, okay, here's what we can do here. Here's where people can be positioned a little bit better. Here's what I can call out, so that way the movement can happen a couple seconds earlier, and that should reduce the healing by this much, and so on, and so on and so forth. So, but that's my job, The other things that I want people to, as for everyone else, I just want people to execute on what they should know, and I'll do whatever I will do whatever I can with the bandwidth that I have, but my bandwidth usually, even though I'm logged on to WoW, I'm not doing a damn thing. I'm like doing other things. I'm working and stuff like that, and despite and it may not look like it, but on video days, I'm doing like 14-hour days trying to produce this shit, and I'm like struggling and to put stuff together. But but I do try to be here. I'm able, people can kind of reach out if I'm able to like see the whispers, and I'm always ready to chat. But like I said, I do notice that that you guys do help, and that's why you guys are breezes because you help. You guys are around to look for the guilds, to look out for the guild, and to look out for all of our success. Even though the person you might be talking to may not be the best player, even though we might see like a 5 to 10% increase from them when you expect more, but it's better than nothing. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You just show up and top shit, bitch.
Since I've been playing WoW as a healer, to me, there's really only one position in a raid, and that's everybody else is just kind of there. You have tank, that's kind of like half of a position because they just gotta survive. They just gotta not die. DPS, they just kind of gotta attack and then don't stand in dumb shit. Then you got healers who are they're out there doing everything. They see everything. They notice everything. They got to make sure everybody's doing what they need to be doing, calling shit out. And that's why when I was a healer, I did what felt best to me. I wasn't out there going for what all the numbers that were best because that didn't matter. It didn't matter if the numbers were best if I couldn't keep people alive. And to me, I think that's it's sad because that is kind of lost on every other spec. DPS they have to do things a certain way or else they're behind.
I can see where you're coming from, Julie. Actually, because this expansion, one of my alts is my paladin, and he's a healer, and you see everything as a healer. I've probably had no more of a frustrating time than when I played my healer, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can see everyone who's doing anything wrong, and why are you doing that? I just want to help everyone, but you can't because you got to keep everyone alive, and healing definitely does have that ability to kind of scope the entire environment out and see what's going on.
You also get to do your thing. You get to heal the way that you want to heal as long as people aren't dying. Obviously there are some abilities that are just complete garbage. But you get to do things your way. Like tanks, you can kind of do things your way a little bit, but DPS you just can't because you're not gonna perform well. Yeah. You have to follow the certain spec. You have to do things this way. You have to follow what everybody else is doing. You have to research to be a DPS.
Well, both tanks and heals, everyone at some point needs to know most of the mechanics that happen in any given fight. Healers for obvious reasons, tanks for other obvious reasons, and DPS for burn phases and stuff like that. But but playing conductor for a raid, yeah, like despite what I said earlier, it's not just a one man job. You know, one person isn't going to be able to manage everything without at least not without burdening themselves with all of the roles and everything that they'll need to do in a fight. It becomes a little, in my opinion, it becomes a little cumbersome, and it feels a little bit unfun when players feel like cogs. It's like, okay, just go here and then do your thing, and in the meantime, I'm treating people not as people, but these people are just the tools that I need in order to make the boss die. I mean, it is kind of a necessary thing. It is a little awkward feeling, but that's why sometimes I'll ask folks directly, hey healers, how you doing, how you guys doing with this and that, and that helps get me the necessary data and information that I need to be like, okay, here's what we can do instead of the encounter, because the healers are feeling like this right now. This is the thing that's lacking. So here's what I can ask the DPS to do. Here's what I can have the tanks do instead. Or here's where we can pop cooldowns here in order to make things work. It's neat, fun, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, like every raid boss is a puzzle, right? And so unfortunately, sometimes you have to be that cog, right? You have to hit that space, because that's where you're going to be. And I mean, like what Julie saying, that you have to do research to DPS. It's kind of like it's easier to put a puzzle together when you have that order already assembled. So it kind of stinks sometimes that there is extra work required if you really want to perform your best, because it's not I mean, it's a fun, casual, fun game, but work is required if you want to be good at it. So yeah.
Someone commented earlier tonight. They said, "Hey, nice to see a guild wipe and not yell at each other for a change." Like, how frequent was that?
I was yelling. You just didn't hear
it. How frequent was it that we weren't yelling, or?
We don't like. Well, he said yell, or yelling at each other. So like, I don't know. Like at least. This guild does have personalities. Some of them are stronger than others. Some people are just like, okay, if someone tells me to do something, I'm just gonna do it. Some people, others are like, okay, if they tell me to do something, then I'm gonna, bitch at them right back. And I'm just wondering for you guys that have been in other guilds, like how common was that when it came to like progression or group activity?
No, I've always been a POW.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of used to people actually yelling at each other, and I don't know. I'm from a place where I'm okay with yelling, so it wouldn't actually bother me, but I do understand.
So, well, like how does that compare to like how things are here? Because my perspective is, of course, between Juikuen and I, we don't really know any better.
I can tell you, like, there was a time, like during the first tier, kind of into the second tier. Well, actually, mostly the first tier of Cataclysm. My Alliance Guild actually had a raid team and everything like that, but they're very much made up of people that were kind of the way POW is, in the sense of like nobody really yelled at each other. We all kind of, talked it out. Hey, what are we doing wrong? Hey, this is what we're doing wrong. All right, let's fix it and let's try it again. But I think that has to do a lot with that my Alliance Guild leader was a lot the way you are, in the sense of kind of like laxed and kind of tries to go that extra step to help everybody out in the guild over, his own personal benefit of, the guild being, top in anything. It was like his goal was like, how is the guild functioning? Good. Okay, then everything's good, with the world. So I've never really had to deal with a guild that yelled and argued and kind of complained with each other, except for at the very beginning of WoD. I joined a guild on Proudmoor for like maybe a few months, and they took it very seriously. I mean, I had to apply. I had to do an actual interview with like the guild leader's daughter, and try not to hit on her. No,
What? This sounds weird.
she
You
had
must
the
talk
voice
to
of
my
an angel.
daughter.
So he was British, and his daughter did the actual
I can't
interviews.
do it.
Right?
I can't do a British accent. Oh, well.
So they had like officers and everything like that. I only got in because I was a friend of somebody who was in the guild. They weren't even in the guild. Like their friend's friend was in it, and I got the interview, and they took it way serious. And when we were in raids, like it just did not seem fun in the sense of like, yeah, you guys are progressing and things like that, but you guys sound like you straight up hate each other. There was a lot of like backstabbing in the guild going on, and the guild eventually, I deployed to Afghanistan, and while I was in Afghanistan, I got a message from them like, yeah, we fell apart, the guild's no longer together, and I'm like, well, kind of saw that coming. And and then when I got back from Afghanistan, that's when Shad kind of twisted my arm and finally got me to cave and come over to Bleeding Hollow. But yeah, I've come from those two backgrounds where I was in a guild that was pretty similar to this one in the sense that it was very guild first before progression, and then I was in that one guild that put progression over actual like guild like togetherness. And I can honestly say I prefer putting the guild first and kind of working together as a team. Progression guilds, well, yeah, they get their progression done, but it just seems like everybody who was in there was like not very happy. They were getting things done, but they just didn't like each other, and I don't kind of like that environment.
So we're like way over an hour now. I'm not quite sure how much longer you guys wanted to go, but I wanted to
See ya.
but I wanted to ask, like, maybe this is the closing question, but I guess what is more important? Like, because this is World of Warcraft. This is a game with raids and bosses to kill and other activities to do. But what is more important? Is it progression that's important, or is it creating, or is it creating the community, or how closely are these things? How close hand in hand are they? I guess is what I'm saying. Is that a good question?
Well, I guess I can continue with what I was leading up to in the sense, like, honestly, for me, I like putting the camaraderie. I play this game to log in and play with friends and get along and do things with my friends, because that's what gets me, like, that's what I enjoy the most, because it's doing things as a group and learning together, and kind of it's that sense of it's that sense of doing everything as a team. And I kind of can contribute that to like being in the military and my Air Force-ness inside me, that my airmanship. It's like one team, one fight. We're gonna do this together or not at all, and we're gonna go through the trenches together. We're gonna struggle together. We're gonna become stronger together. And if we don't, then we're gonna fail. But hell, we're having a damn good time doing it anyway, And it's I honestly can say that since joining this guild, it's become a lot more fun for me to log in every day and be like, hey, what's going on, guys? Like, what are we doing today? Or what's everyone up to? Rather than it being like, oh, God, I got to log in and do my dailies and knock this out and freaking, I've got to do it on 10 other alts. I don't care as much anymore. Yeah, I leveled all my alts, but like I'm more interested to see like, hey man, what can I do today with the guys online and girls? But yeah, that's kind of what drives me to still play the game, is coming in and seeing what I can do with the people that are on in the guild.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. So, yeah, I mean, the reason we all continue to play this game is to have fun, right? Because the moment that you log in because you have to, it's a job. And I don't know about you, but I don't get paid to play WoW. So
You don't?
unfortunately, I'm not on that level yet. So yeah, I'm not one of those like method guys or whatever, where it's their job to log in and stream and raid. That would be the life. But until that
It
time,
ain't that glamorous, man.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I got commitments that I go to jail for if I don't show up. So, it's one of those things that it's the fun you have. Now, granted, there is fun that goes along with progression, like in the initial phases of Emerald Nightmare of us starting back on progression because we weren't used to it. There was some tension in the beginning because no one likes to wipe. Like people hate to fail at a boss, and so I think it's again, I've said it 1,000 times, but it's drawing that fine line between, are you downing bosses at a reasonable rate that everyone's okay with, and is that where you want to be? If it's not, then maybe you need to change some things up. I mean, we're in a position where everybody's pretty happy. Like, there's not really a lot of issues, and so I think we're in a very, very good place. It's learning to step on the gas or hit those brakes to keep us in that zone that is really the marker of where the guild's currently at. I think we're in a good place. I mean, so I don't have any complaints. It's not about progression. It's about let's progress while having fun. And I think that's what keeps us all in the game, playing the same raid for a year straight while you want to stab your eyes out.
Jordan and Kara, man, you don't understand nothing, man. You don't understand anything.
Fair enough. Yeah, I haven't gone through super hardcore progression with you guys or anything, but I was there through all
Super
of
hardcore progression.
HFC. Yeah, I mean, I was there through all of HFC, even on those the worst of nights. So, dying to Archimond for 2 hours straight, even though we've cleared him for the last 30 weeks. So those nights are bad. I remember logging into work and Senjien be just text me real fast and be like, so about last night. It's emoji, sad face. Let's move on.
Good, because it would get to the point where Soul's like, everyone get on their fucking mains. We're gonna do this. I'm like, okay, he's serious.
Any
Soul serious.
Yeah. He never does that. Anything from you, Jay?
Oh man, I like progressing. I don't know about y'all, shit. I like doing things that make me feel good. I don't know. Rating is what makes this game to me.
Fair enough.
Like if we couldn't raid, and I mean obviously POW keeps me here because I raid with POW, but having something to do well beyond the basic life of this game is it's what makes WoW. I don't think WoW would be anywhere where it is without its end game. And as far as having a guild, that's what you have to do to have end game possible. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, we're a means to an end for you.
You are a means
Pretty
to my
much.
end. No, man. I mean, I've obviously been
means.
here for so long. I mean, most people don't stay with guilds this long, so we're obviously doing something right.
I guess.
Most people who leave this guild are, besides Corey and Kata, they stop playing the game. So that should say something for the kind of guild we have.
For me,
and
it's
Greg.
Oh God, Greg. For me, it's kind of based on what I said before. Bosses aren't super important. Progression is the thing, but it's not the biggest thing for me, at least. Because if I wanted if I were to break this down into some of its parts, and this is simply a game, and my goal is to kill the last boss, I'm gonna blow hella gold, and I'm gonna have someone carry me to the last boss, and boom, get my achievement. I beat the game, even though I went about it in a very underhanded and kind of unfulfilling way. But that could be the route that I take because that's what I'm capable of. But for me, that's not as important. For me, it's a game. It's a game of people. It's and I find it more fun to take what I've got, to take this guild, and to see what it's capable of. It's not just killing bosses. It is handling you guys and dealing with the dynamics and the unpredictability of life happening. And to me that's more dynamic. It is more fulfilling. There's a lot more for me to do and deal with, and and to analyze all these all these different people's play styles and goals and desires and stuff like that. That's what entertains me. That's why I continue running a guild. If I just tanked, I would feel infinitely less fulfilled about playing this game if I were just a tank and not a leader and not a guild leader and, well, not a guild leader of POW. Without you guys, I wouldn't be playing.
That's why.
Oh,
Whatever. Fuck you guys.
he likes us.
You guys are all
I think he just said that if I would just tanking, people are the worst. So that's sad for me. That's it. Chamois, going beefs.
Any final topics or anything you guys wanted to bring up before we wrap up?
Care Hills.
Yeah,
Had to drop that.
I could talk. I could do this all day. We are gonna do it.
We're not gonna do it all day.
We should. This should be like a continuous live stream and never stop.
Marathon, fucking
That's
PowCast
a niche.
marathon, huh?
Yeah, you go with the PowCast style. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
24 hour.
I'm sure. It's
24-hour POW stream. Go.
Yeah.
We'll have an Iron Man. Ooh, gold idea.
I'll have a
20,
POW
like,
Iron
we'll
Man.
have a POW Iron Man contest. Whoever can keep going the longest.
Oh man, like we're just grinding out, like playing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I guess I think it's fine to you ask that question. We all kind of each had our separate answers, and yeah, it all depends on is this what works best for us. So yeah, now it's a game, but I do understand Drew's point because I'm with him too. Of like, to me, it's am I going with the content faster than like I feel or that I feel comfortable with. Like it's so like it's maybe the way the new raid styles put out of like they're saying night hold on 17th of January, and so like I kind of bite my nails a little bit of like, are we gonna have heroic TOV on farm by then? I mean, I'm sure we'll down it. I mean, I don't doubt that, but like the competitor in me wants to be like, yeah, no worries, bring it on, got it. Because I'm of this game of you see like, look at the amount of quests my quest log is full of quests of wait till Nighthold arrives because like I'm one of those that like I gotta push it out of the way and that way I'm done with it. Like that old WoW style of well, did everything I can do this week, now I'm on to my next character, and I think that style of play is kind of gone for the most part in this game. Like I feel like I have to keep logging in all the time on these guys to stay ahead, and so like the worst thing to me was if I fell behind in rating, or if we didn't clear TOV and Nighthold traps. I think it'd be the point where I'm like, well, we aren't progressing, and maybe I'm not having as much fun. But until that time, loving every minute of it.
I think historically, the one time we did fall behind was Ulduar. I think Trial of the Crusader came out before we killed Yogg because we have tons of roster issues when we were trying to finish Ulduar. Like I was starting to get like crazy migraines at the time, and so I could barely raid, and yeah, there was like all sorts of stuff that was preventing us from doing it. Like I think, God, I forgot how old he was. We had like a 7-year-old raiding with us, or 7 years old, or 9 years old, and he would like be watching TV as he's DPSing, and we're like, dude, Black Raider, stop watching TV and fucking pressing buttons. And
He was 7?
he was like 7 or 9. He was like 7 or 9. He was like he was
No
younger
way.
than 10. Serious, he was younger than 10
How old
years
was
old.
10? Oh, no, you. I thought you
No.
were talking about 10 Shiro.
No, I'm not talking about 10. Sure. I'm talking about, remember Black Raider?
Yeah, I remember Black Rat. I didn't know it was 10.
No, he was younger than 10. He was hella young, dude. But yeah, he was raiding with us. Fucking Yogg-Saron. And we're like, oh god, this guy's killing us. He's standing on the anyway. Like,
I wasn't here for that.
but that's the kind of stuff that POW dealt with. We have lots of stupid ass stories and stuff to tell that would last all night. but I'm sure you guys hear little snippets of it as we as we rate or as we talk and all the inside jokes. And fuck, Loxy might be coming back, so there's more. There's gonna be some of that shit. All some of the sexual scandalous shit might start creeping.
No, Deco's not here. Deco or PMAC aren't here.
So anyway, I don't know how much of that I'm gonna edit out, but we'll go ahead and wrap it with this. So I think we ran for almost 2 hours. I think.
YOLO.
Something like that. But oh well. This is fun though.
Good.
This is fun. This went a lot longer than I thought, and we get some cool thoughts out there. Even though some of it was rambling, a lot of late night rambling. But
That's true.
but
What happens
hopefully
when you bring Juikuen?
that's what I get.
It's the gentleman's hour.
All right. So this was Shad and Jui and Senjien. But yeah. Once again, thank you guys for coming and contributing and
No problem.
taking the time to talk.
Anytime I fulfilled a lifelong dream of being on a low-level podcast. I
Yay!
feel like I really accomplished something
Fuck
today.
you! Don't call it a low-level podcast. You punk.
Is this going to be on iTunes? Is this on iTunes?
Yeah, it's gonna be $2.99 for for each listen. Easy.
Shad would
Oh,
always
okay.
tell me at work, like, "Oh, I want to be on one of the podcasts," and I'm like, "It's like, don't be jealous."
Well, the last one that had it had a couple hits and some people were responding positively to it. So I'm gonna keep doing them, and they're fun to do. Like even if people don't really pick up on it, it's okay. It's cool for us to just kind of talk too.
Yeah,
Like I usually don't do. I usually don't take the time to talk to folks for extended periods of time outside of raid and all that, even though I should. So I appreciate you guys coming out.
Yeah,
No,
man,
this is
good writing.
super awesome, man. Yeah,
You're welcome.
yeah, I could do this. I
I
could do this
wish-
every week.
I wish more
So
people would participate.
serialized.
I'll
Yeah.
bless you with my presence more often.
I'll try to, there are some folks that I talked to them about it, and they didn't seem. I mean, they seemed interested, but they were kind of nervous about it. So, I mean, we'll see. It's not for everyone. I didn't think it was for me. I still don't think it's for me. But I'm just gonna keep doing it until we're bored of doing it. Because
You do great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
We'll do
darling.
videos. You're one of my new now favorite YouTube contributors.
Yay. You
Hey, that
better
means a
be.
lot to me. I watch a lot of
It's-
YouTube videos.
Yeah, so do I. I watched, like, last time Slow was like, "Don't be dropping those names on my stream."
Yeah, I'm not gonna drop now. I want to, but yeah, that's
I don't care. Besides,
there, and no, it's very cool to see someone that start this process and to like see it all the way through, like from the outside. It's very neat to be a part of. And
Oh yeah.
I think it's very cool.
we'll see.
We just to don't let it get to your head, but like, it's gotten to the point where like Shad and I come to work like, "Hey man, did you see Soul's latest video?" And
Yeah,
we're like,
Oh,
"Oh,
he
not."
said you got no nipples.
But yeah, we'll be like, "Hey, did you see Soul's latest video?" And we're like, "No, man, I'll watch it right now at work, and like I'll throw your video on while I'm at work
Mm-hmm.
and see, or I'll watch it at night before I go to bed, just if I'm feeling frosty." But
Oh God.
but yeah, that is something that Chad and I have started doing with the channel. We talk about it the next day if we've seen your latest video.
Yeah, you used to make it. It used to be reserved for the levels of the preachers and Asmongold and final boss, and now we talk about, hey, you see Souls in the video, so you're in there, man. As much as that probably doesn't mean as much to you, but it means a
No,
lot to us.
it's cool to be
Yeah.
a part of the community in the form that I'm in now. So we'll see how long this train wreck goes.
Yeah.
We'll ride it together, right?
Yeah.
Before we go, I gotta hear Drew yell "Best in Slow" one more time.
Come on, Chewy.
Do it for me.
It's illegal, dude.
It's like,
It has to come naturally, man. He's not. He
he has to
can't-
roll
Can't
on
do it on
something.
command,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Oh,
I feel you.
I'm
Quick, roll for
I'm
something.
pretty sure one of my stream recordings has him saying it. Anyway, let's get out of here, dude. Thanks again for coming.
yeah, man.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
Thanks,
Stay breezy, guys.
Dropping it.
Bastard slut!
What? Damn.
That's Chewy.